warden here at Hawk Church. Some of you will remember my husband Neil, who was a lay minister in the Golden Cap team. I want to tell you 2 stories about my experiences of being with him during the last few days of his life. Neil was drifting in and out of consciousness, and on one occasion he said the words, "I was glad." My reply was, "Oh, I'm so pleased, darling. What were you glad about?" He just frowned. This happened several times, and then eventually he managed to say, "Hubert Parry." Then the penny dropped for me, and I said, "Oh, you mean Hubert Parry's anthem, I was glad. Do you want it for your funeral?" The look of relief on his face was wonderful to behold, because he had finally made me understand what he wanted. A few days later, he kept repeating the word malice. And again, I found it hard to understand what he meant. Eventually, he said, "Malice St. Paul." The Reverend Jane Skinner helped me find the reference, and the answer was in St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians. "Get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." I read these words for Neil and asked him if it's what he wanted. He squeezed my hand. We have lived through some very difficult times over the last few months, and perhaps we still have difficult times ahead. However, if we can get to the end of it and be able to say, "I was glad I was able to help a neighbour. I was glad I was able to support my family. I was glad to be able to work in my garden. I was glad I was able to pray. I was glad I had my lovely dog for company." Perhaps we should constantly remind ourselves how glad we are. As for St. Paul's words, well, it says it all, doesn't it? If only everyone could abide by these words, wouldn't the world be a wonderful place? Get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Thank you for listening.